All right, friends. We are going to be getting used to the art materials that I sent home to you for this time where we are working remotely. There are two larger pieces of drawing paper. All right, we're going to be using one of those today to do a little practice with the pencils that I sent home with you as well. Okay? So put one of them aside. Make sure you keep it nice. That's going to be the project paper. All right, but on this paper here, we're going to do a couple of value studies. All right, just like we did with the oil pastels, we're going to make some value gradients. All right, instead of color gradients, we're going to do value gradients. Now you have a blue pencil and a black pencil. I mean, they're both gray graphite, but one looks blue on the outside, one's black on the outside. The blue one is a 2H pencil. All right, and you'll see all sorts of different codes on different pencils. Those tell you how hard or how soft the graphite in the pencil is. When you have a harder graphite, less of it is rubbed off on the paper, and you can end up getting lighter shades of gray. If you have a softer pencil, like a 4 or a 5 or a 6B, then more of that graphite is going to rub off on the paper, and you'll get a darker, almost black gray. Now the black one here is called General's Layout Extra Black number 555. This one we're going to use for our dark shadows, and the 2H we're going to use for our lightest values and our sketching. Now the only problem with a hard pencil like this 2H is that if you are not gentle with it, you will scratch, or I've seen some kids even tear through their paper. All right, you're not going to need to sharpen this one much at all. Like I said, not much is going to get worn off of it. But it's really great for making light values and for sketches. If you can train yourself not to press so hard on the paper, it's going to be beneficial for you. All right. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to make a couple of rectangles on here. I'm going to use the darker pencil for this because I want you guys to be able to see it in the video. All right. We're going to do two. All right. One of them is going to have steps, and one of them is going to be smooth. Testing me on my spelling skills. The one that has steps, we want to have 5 different steps in this. All right. They don't have to be even, but I'm going to draw lines dividing it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, in the smooth one, we're not going to divide it up at all. Start with our lightest. All right. So for these steps, I want to see each one of these boxes filled in with the same value of pencil, lightest to darkest. All right. The way that we do this is we build up layers. We never want to be pressing really hard on our paper. We can get light lines by doing a light pressure and then doing a hard pressure. But I've already torn into my paper there doing that. That's not what we want. All right. We want to create darker values by building up layers of graphite. All right. So for this first one, I'm going to use my 2H for my lightest value. And I'm just going to gently go back and forth across this first box. All right. Now, not sure if this is going to show up on the video, but when you do it, you're going to see the lines that you've made going back and forth. All right. In order to hide those, in order to make it a nice smooth color, we need to shade again from a different direction. What I'm doing here is just slowly pulling the pencil toward my hand, hardly putting any pressure down on the paper, letting the pencil just glide across it. And as I slowly pull it toward my hand, we're filling in more and more of that square. Okay. So that's 2 layers on there. You can see it. It's very slightly darker than the color of the paper. And that's what we want for our lightest one. For the next one, I'm going to do maybe 3 or 4 layers of just the 2H. Okay? All right, you can see that that's one step darker, a little bit darker than this. In the middle one, our third step, I'm going to do a couple layers of my 2H, and then I'm probably going to do one light layer of my dark extra black pencil on top of that. Okay, one thing I do want to point out is that I am never shading with the side of my pencil. It might look at it, I just want to make sure you see what I'm doing. That's why my hand is kind of to the side like this, but I'm always shading with the tip of my pencil. All right, they're very tiny little small lines. You got to take your time, but you're going to end up, it's going to create a better result for you in the end. So I'll do this one here and we'll check back in a second. All right, now for 4 and 5, I'm going to skip the 2H altogether and just use our extra black pencil for that. Now you might see me scribbling a little bit on the side here. Every once in a while you put your pencil down and you end up with just the very fine tip that you're made, like sharpening it by drawing. And I don't ever like that to happen. So I want to make sure once I get my pencil in my hand that it's going to be on kind of a smoother part of the tip. Okay. Every time you do a new layer, make sure you do it in a new direction. Okay. Now you might find it easier to turn the paper than to turn your wrist. All right. And the last one, same thing. We're just going to use the extra black and we're going to do a bunch of layers, maybe even 5 or 6. See how it goes. All right, not bad. All right, but this is going to help us when we get to our drawing because now we know this is as dark as we can get with this pencil. So our darkest shadows need to be this dark. All right, our lightest are this dark. All right, down here on the smooth one, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to eliminate the steps. So I'm going to start with my 2H over on this side and smoothly shade until probably about here. All right, and then I will start a little bit over here and blend into that with a different direction. And then move over a little bit more, blend in with a different direction. And then start over here at this side with the extra black pencil and stop right about at the middle. And I'll show that to you with a little time lapse. Here we go. All right, not bad. So our goal here, as you can see, is to do basically what we did here, but to blend these steps into each other so that we get a nice smooth gradient from light until dark. Okay, you can see I spent a little bit of extra time trying to get that section where the extra dark pencil was blending into the lighter 2H pencil, just to get rid of that edge between the two. All right. But we're going to call it there. This is going to be your first practice assignment for that. Take your time, get used to the pencils. Don't worry about going outside the lines in this either. We're worried more about getting the values the way that we want them to. Take a picture of this with your Chromebook and turn it into me so I can see that you were practicing with this before you move on to the next step. All right, good luck.